All right, so in part two, we're going to be talking about regression models. So after you determine what type of scatter plot you have, you then lead into your function. What function best represents that? And when we are making predictions on function models, we call those regression models, okay? So when we're making predictions on function models, we call them what? Regression models. So when I ask you for a regression model, I'm asking you what function represents this data. Got it? All right. So because you know y'all are in the world of technology, we do not make you use regression models without technology anymore. Okay. So back in my day, we used to do it as much as possible by hand. You guys get the pleasure of doing it using technology. So we're going to learn how to do it in our calculator, and we're going to also learn how to do it on Desmos. Okay. All right. What if I have data but no scatter plot? What are we going to do? We make a scatter plot, and we're going to use technology to make that scatter plot. Okay. So up here is our problem. So we're going to work through this problem together, and then we're going to hopefully feel better about our discovery lesson. You'll see where we were coming from, right? That's the goal. All right, so I'm going to give y'all 30 seconds or so, 60 seconds to read through the problem, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. So read the problems on the back. So you're going to flip over your paper. So on the front are your steps, and on the back is the problem. So you're going to read through it, take a moment, circle what you deem is important, and then after you're done reading, I want you to label what's our independent variable and what's our dependent variable. All right. All right. Our independent variable is what? Their air temperature. So our independent variable is the air temperature, and our dependent variable, therefore, is the wind chill factor. Agree? So that means that these are my X values and these are my Y values. So my domain is defined at the top and my range is at the bottom. All right, and we're going to determine the equation of the regression line. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the steps that are on the back of your page so that you don't have to flip back and forth. I will keep the thing on the board. But the first thing that we're going to review is to do what? Reset our calculator. So we're going to press second plus 712. Second plus 712. I think when you are, in my opinion, when you're doing a regression model in the calculator, the fastest and best thing to do is always reset your calculator. So we're going to start off with second plus 712. And now we're going to go to stat editor. To get there, we press stat and then select edit. So let me open up Sylvie. Here she is. Hey, girl. So I'm going to turn her on. I'm going to press second plus 712. Sylvie has now been reset. And now I'm going to go ahead and follow. So we're going to go to stat. We're going to go to edit. And we're going to put in our values. So your L1 is always typically going to be your independent variable. And your L2 is going to be your dependent variable. So we're going to go in and put those values and make sure you put them exactly. So I'm going to type 40, enter, 35, enter, 30, enter, 25, enter, 20, enter, 15, enter, go over. And we're putting in 30, enter, 24, enter, 17, enter, 11, enter, 4, enter. And when you're putting in the negative, you use the negative is down by the decimal. So you press -2, enter. Okay. In order to lock in the values, you do have to arrow out of that box. So on the last box, you should not be in it. You should be beneath it. Okay. So now we're going to keep following the steps. So it says after we've entered data in L1 and L2, be sure the lists have the same number of entries or the calculator will not be able to plot them as an ordered pair. We're going to press Y equals and arrow up to plot 1 and press enter and arrow down to turn on the plot. So I'm going to press y equals, arrow up to plot 1, press enter, arrow down to see that I turned it on. Still with me? Okay. Now we're going to go on to the 6th step. What does 6th step say? And then, so we're going to press zoom right here where it says zoom. And then we're going to go down to 9 where it says zoom stat. And when you do that, it should show your scatter plot. Can I get thumbs up if your screen looks like my screen? Did we survive? Wasn't terrible, right? Yeah? All right. This is our scatter plot. What kind of scatter plot do we have? It's a positive linear. So we know that we're dealing with a linear model, correct? Everybody agrees? All right. So now we're going to figure out how do we find that linear model. So the next part of our notes, oops, scroll too much. After we've already did 1, 2, we now are going to go to step 3. So step 3 says we're going to go back to stat. And this time we're going to arrow over to calc because we want to find that linear model. Okay. So we're going to go to stat, calc, and we're going to go to linear regression, which is 4. Do we all see that? All right. We're going to press enter. Now, this is the old step before the updates. You do not have to do all this in order to store anymore. So to store, so this is old. We don't have to do all of this to get here anymore. From your discovery lesson, you should have learned that if you press alpha trace, you can get to the option of storing faster. So alpha and then the trace button. So we're going to press the alpha button and then trace. So I'm going to go over here and press alpha trace so that when I get here to where it says store, so I'm going to come down to where it says store regression equation. I press alpha and I press trace and I want to store it as my Y1. Okay. And I'm going to store it. And now I'm going to calculate. Hit enter. And ta-da! Here's my equation. If you do not like seeing it in this format, you can always press y equals and you can see it written all together because you stored it in your y equals. Do we see that? So if you press y equals, you can see the equation. All I did was press y equals because we stored it as y1, right? So that means that it'll be here for us. Cool? All right. Now, I'm going to repeat this step again, but we're going to add an extra step. If you're not strong at rounding your numbers, right? Because let's say it says round to the nearest 3 decimal places, and that's not your strong suit, you can actually go to mode, go down to float, and you're going to switch it to 3. Okay? So we press mode, we went down to float, and we switched it to 3. What this does is now when you do stat, calc, and you run the regression model again, guess what it'll do for you? It'll round for you. So we have alpha, trace, and I want to store it in 1. I hit enter. And what does it do for me? It rounds it for me. So if I'm not strong at rounding and I need it to be rounded to 3 decimal places, the calculator has the brain to do it. And it even rounds it in your y equals. So in your y equals, it's already rounded for you. So my regression model would be y equals 1.291x minus 21.514. If I write it as a minus, is that not still negative? Plus a negative is the same thing as subtracting a positive. Okay, how do you feel? Good? All right, so after that, it's just now analyzing. So it asks you, what is the slope of the regression line and what does it mean? What's our slope? There we go. I'm right. Is it okay if I write M? our m equals 1.291, and it means the change in your, remember, slope equals the change in your y over the change in your x. What does our y represent? What does our y represent? The chill factor. So it's the degree of chill factor. So when you think about writing what your slope means, think of it as y per x, okay? So think of y per x. So your y per your x. And what does your x mean? Air temperature, the degree of air temperature. So your 1.291 degree of chill factor per degree of air temp. That's what it means when it says, what does your slope mean? Okay. It's your y per your x. That's the most base way to remember how to write it. So whatever your y is per whatever your x is. Yep. Yes, it's the ratio between the two. That's exactly what your slope is. Okay. Now it says, what is your dependent variable axis intercept? This is just a fancy way of saying, what is your y-intercept? And what is our y-intercept? It's exactly. It equals 0, negative 21.514. And joules, what does that represent? The wind chill factor when your air temp is what? What is it? Your air temp is what? 0. So this is wind chill when air temp is 0 degrees. Make sense? So your y-intercept tells you your y value when the x value equals 0. Make sense? All right, last part. Using technology, it says if the wind chill factor is 32 degrees Fahrenheit for the day, at a wind speed of 20 miles per hour, which is irrelevant because that's how fast all of them have been going, right? Show the work that leads to your answer. So if we're looking for 32 degrees and I have a formula, what do I do with that 32 degrees? They gave me my x, so x equals 32. How do I find my y? Say it with me. Plug it in, plug it in. All you're doing is plugging it in. You're given your x, right? So to find your y, we're going to plug it in. All right, you have a couple options on plugging in. The beauty of the fact that you saved this in the calculator already is that you can plug it in from the table. You can plug it in from the graph. You can plug it in from the function. I'm going to show you all three, and you get to choose from here on out which way you like doing it, okay? So looking at it from a graph, I'm going to click on the graph. Look at that. Look how good we are at drawing and connecting and whatnot. If I'm looking from a value from the graph, we're going to press trace. I'm sorry, second trace. I knew that. And I just type in value. I press value. And what value do we want? 32. Hit enter. And what does it tell me? The value at 32. Okay. So that's another good thing about storing your equation. It goes to the graph for you, right? And now I can just find whatever I need to find off of it. So from there, we know that it is 19.798 degrees, right? It's 32. That's what the wind chill factor will be. Okay. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is you can go to the table. Now, do you want to scroll all the way to 32? No. From your scavenger hunt, if you actually got it right, you would have learned that if you press second window, you can make your calculator jump to where you want it to on your table. Where it says, where do you want your table to start? Well, I want it to start at 32. So when I go back to the table, it's going to go to 32. And what do we get? The exact same answer, right? So we have the graph, we have the table, and then the last is from the calculator page. To get back to your calculator page from any point in the calculator, you press second mode, and it takes you back to your calculator page. Okay. What's really cool here is you can press alpha, trace, and you're telling your calculator page, I want you to use Y1. And from Y1, I want you to tell me what is 32. And guess what it's going to tell you? What 32 is. So you have all these different ways that someone has programmed into this little calculator's brain for you to find your solution. Okay? And you can pick whichever method you're most comfortable with. If you're going to be a graph person who second traces your life out, go for it. If you're going to be a table person who second windows and type in what you want, go for it. Okay? If you want to be a calculator page person and use alpha trace and put in, go for it. My job is to show you the tools and you pick your poison. Got it? All right. How do we feel? Do we feel a little bit better about regression models using the calculator? Was it really that bad? No, it wasn't. Trust the process.